Hello there and welcome along. The Gardener Ben here with your next rose review, and I have to confess this particular rose has been really quite difficult. Not only is it in a fairly challenging location here in my garden, meaning media capture with the actual plant growing where I've planted it is really hard work, but also even getting it into a milk bottle today was quite hard work. Today's climbing rose is Jasmina. Now this was bred and introduced by Cordes in 2005, and here in the UK is available through many sources, including Peterbilt's Roses. It is a very graceful and romantic climbing rose with one or two characteristics which make, I say, putting it into a milk bottle quite difficult, but also filming with it quite difficult, but growing it in the garden an absolute pleasure. This is a climbing rose reaching around 10 to 12 feet in height, so something in the region of 3 to 4 meters in size. It is incredibly relaxed, very easy to train, and very informal in its growth habit, which if you're trying to create that really lovely soft and romantic feel to maybe a rose arch, an arbor, an archway over a path or a pagola, this is the kind of rose that's going to hang and nod beautifully. It has really long, very slender arching stems, which it produces in abundance, so very easy to train and very easy to tie in. However, for a high traffic area, it does have quite a few thorns and will be marked with a high thorn count with myself today, so do kind of weigh up the pros and cons of both of those particular things. So they're very easy to train, very fast to establish. Mine was away in the ground really quickly. It's covering very quickly an 8-foot high fence panel, over 6 meters, over 6 feet in width, already covered in just 2 or 3 years. So very fast to establish itself, and I say very easy to train and tie in. It produces multiple stems, so there's loads and loads of growth to work with, but it does have this very nodding and very sort of pendulous look to it, which once you get it up to about sort of 4, 5, 6, 7 feet high is lovely, because it nods down and you can look up at it. Or, you know, I'm quite short, so I'm looking up at a lot of things a lot of the time, but it does have, I say, very nodding stems. Right, as I say, introduced by Cordes in 2005. Let's get one of these stems out and give you a really good look at it. This one's already out, so let's take that one out of the way. The foliage is incredibly high gloss, very dark green, high gloss in its sheen. Beautiful color, really nice, very healthy. The barbs once again are contained along the back of the leaf axil, again making it maybe a little bit unsuitable for a high traffic area, but Jasmina producing these really lovely light pink, violet pink blooms, deeply textured, deeply ruffled, nodding. They're produced in quite large sprays of about 7, 8, 9, 10 flowers per stem, opening from these lovely apple blossom white pink buds tinged with small amounts of apricot, each flower opening to each flower opening to around 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. They really are lovely, very soft. They've got this beautiful violet pink edge to them, flushed with small amounts of apple blossom white and a little bit of apricot and yellow tinged down the back. They really are very pleasant, and they say they nod beautifully. Once it's up and onto a structure, they nod beautifully off of that structure, giving that really lovely, I'm going to move it about, look, giving that really lovely sense of movement and whimsy, and just that lovely English cottage garden style, if that is something you're going to be looking to sort of add to the garden. Really nice tone to the flower, mixing really nicely with not only strong pinks but whites, but also strong purples and violets as well, so that tone mirroring all the way through the flower. Very pretty indeed. I say foliage wise, it is high gloss, high sheen, dark green, with thorns across the back. Thorns are present in every single part of this plant. Again, I'll bring those close into it. It's going to be marked with a high thorn count. They are relatively small, but they are very sharp and almost hooked behind, so very backward facing barb on Jasmina. Fragrance wise, it really is lovely. I really like this one. It's not particularly strong, it is quite light. This one is going to be marked with a 5 out of 10 for fragrance rating with myself, but it's really clean. I'm getting fresh, crisp green apple. So a really strong Granny Smith, you know, really sweet, tart apple mixed with pear drops. It really is very pleasant. I say rating a 5 out of 10 for fragrance rating. This one is also going to be receiving a 6 out of 10 for disease resistance with myself. A really lovely climbing rose, suitable for, I say, using in a multitude of locations in the garden. A very relaxed and very informal feel to it, moving beautifully in the wind, starting flowering somewhere in the middle part of June and producing a really strong and very fast consecutive repeat all the way through to the very back end of September, maybe even into October. Jasmina is a really lovely climbing rose, which I say, a very informal, soft habit. Lovely pendulous flowers, suitable for growing in full sun or partial shade, and hardy in zones 6 through 11. A really useful climber, but I say, does need a little bit, lots of support, doesn't it? You'll need to be very disciplined with your tying in because it will grow away quite quickly, but more than copable and more than manageable in most modern gardens, say reaching somewhere in the region of about 10 to 12 feet in height and something in the region of about 4 to 6 feet wide if you were, for instance, going to grow this up a wall. But this one is Jasmina, bred and introduced by Cordes and available here in the UK through Peter Bill's Roses.